And you will be wondering who's going to take the session today. It's not our teacher. Who's this Ms. Jovela Dias, and how is she going to present? So here it is for you on the screen. Please look. She has 15 years of experience as a facilitator, and she has been a facilitator of IBDP Biology, HLNSL, ESS, and TOK since 12 years. She has also facilitated IGCSE Biology and EVM. She is the IB Diploma Program External Examiner for ESS, IA, and Paper 1 since 2017. She has conducted workshops for facilitators on implementing TOK in subject areas and TOK assessments. She has also presented research paper. And the most important part about Ms. Jovela is she is a lifelong learner, and she believes in the process of education. She believes in the quality of education, and she believes that collaboration is one platform where all educators and all learners should come together so that we can become better by understanding and applying whatever we have learned. And I may not be able to put it in the best words that she has for us today. So I will not take much time now, and I'm going to give the platform to Ms. Jovela. Now I'll stop sharing my screen, ma'am. This is your time. Thank you so much for agreeing, and thank you so much for being here with us. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kalpana, and also Guru sir, for this initiative. I'm sure students will definitely benefit a lot from these sessions. I'll try my best to not make it monotonous. So first and foremost, we all understand that ESS is a interdisciplinary subject. So what is it that makes it interdisciplinary? Yeah, what does IB want us to understand via this subject? They want us to have an holistic appreciation of the environmental issues, in which there's interaction between the environmental systems and societies. So the moment you talk about societies, we're talking about group 3, that is humanities. They also want us to consider the costs and the benefits of human activities. And by understanding this, they want us to connect it to environment and to the societies, and how is it affecting at a large. Now, the third point, and this is a very important point, is that they want students to arrive at informed but personal viewpoints. And they want us to be able to justify. So each student should be able to justify their own position and appreciate the views of others along with that. Now, this point is very important from the 6 marks question that we have at the end of paper 1. Yeah, so when we are looking at that, I'll come back to this point again. Okay, the overview of paper 1, it's out of 35 marks, but it had a weightage of 25%. There's only one section in that paper. All the questions are compulsory. There are no options. And then the duration of the exam is 60 minutes, that is 1 hour. All right, the grade boundaries. You look at the grade boundaries for paper 1, and I'm sure everybody who's here right now is looking at these last 2 grade boundaries, which is 23 to 35 is what our target is. Most of them would target 27 to 35. The grade boundaries keep on changing every year depending on the complexity of the paper. So these grade boundaries are for November 2019. Okay. Now, if you see the screen, it's talking about past papers and each session, what were the different locations based on which the paper was, the resource booklet was based, and what was the area of focus. So take a minute and try to identify what were the locations, what was the area of focus. Just try to identify what is that you're seeing on this screen right now. Okay, it's about hotspots. Yes, okay.
Come on, children, others.
The area of focus is related to the problem being faced. Okay. All right. That is unit 1, 2, 3, occasional 6 and 7. Yes. We're talking about an entire paper, right? What is it that we are seeing? Something that's repeated, something that's not repeated. Okay, unit 3 in relation to unit 1 and 2. Something very specific about the location. What can we say? Okay, there's biodiversity, the ecosystem, right? Something very specific about the location. What can we say about that? Okay, each has different climate, different places. Guys, can we see a pattern in this? Different biomes, yes. All right. So what we are seeing here is that all the locations that are given over here are different. Yeah, our syllabus changed in 2017. So 2017, a batch gave the exams for this syllabus that we are doing right now. From 2017 on till now, November 2021, if you see, none of the location is repeated, right? But the concepts, the area of focus you will find is repeated. Location is not repeated, area of focus is repeated. Which topic from the syllabus does the case study heavily focus on? And we are seeing here, it's talking about biomes, biodiversity, unit 1, 2, and 3. So you will find that unit 1, 2, and 3 are heavily focused on in paper 1. All right, let's move further. So if you are finding that every time, if you go back here, you'll find the location is completely different every year. It's never repeated. So then, is it important to practice past papers for ESS 1? Many students think that it is just not important, right? Some people believe it is important. So what is your say on this? Do you think it's important to practice past papers for paper 1? Excellent. Yes, you're right. Yeah, so we want to hit the bullseye. We want to get things right. We want to get a 7 in ESS paper 1. And how do you do that? By practicing the past papers. So it's a very, very important tool because it will tell you how your exam will look like. So there are many students who always argue with their teachers saying that ESS paper 1 does not require practice. But I will choose to disagree with that, because by doing that, you will get to know the kind of material that will be asked in the exams. Yeah, and how do you prepare for it? If you see paper 1, 35 marks, 60 minutes, but there's a lot to look at. So time is really tight over there. And you have to be fast, right? If you want to develop that skill of reading between the lines and going faster, then you will have to practice. You also have to summarize the charts, tables, mind maps. And this is a skill that will come only with practice. So if you don't practice paper 1 and thinking that it's a case study, it's an unseen case study that comes, you're going to, you're inviting a disaster. So don't do that. Now the resource booklet, it consists of unseen case study to solve. And what are the things that are there inside the resource booklet? So it consists of a biologically significant area. It consists of some data sets like the mathematical graphs, geographical maps, some fact files, systems diagrams, and some pictorial depictions that you will get there. And it is concept based. Now it is not necessary that the resource booklet will have explicitly mentioned concepts. Most of the time they are implicit. Okay, as we are going along and when we start solving the questions, I'll tell you how it is implicit. And what are the implicit concepts that they look at? Yeah, ecosystems, biomes, ecological pyramids, human population, the carrying capacity, demographic transition, all these kind of things. All right. What are the different categories of questions that are there in paper one? First category, it's informative and short answer type questions. Second, it's data interpretation. Third, conceptual. Fourth, one evaluative long question, which we can say is an essay question. All right. We'll look at the examples of this. Sorry. Okay. So how do you use this resource booklet while trying to answer paper one? So 1 mark question can be answered using the facts and figures in the resource booklet. Very clearly, if you see, I'm coming to that. The 1 mark question generally has command terms which are objective one type. So that is very easy to go ahead and pick up facts and figures from the resource booklet and try to answer that. If it's a 2 marks question, it will require some logic to be applied. And when you're solving this kind of question, make sure that you do not pick up only facts and figures from the resource booklet. Along with that, apply the concepts that you have learned in your syllabus. All right, that will help you to get 2 complete marks. When it's a 4 marks question, generally the command term explain comes in there. So 3-4 marks, you will have explain command term there. During that time, you will refer to the resource booklet. You will pick up facts and figures from the resource booklet. At the same time, you will pick up knowledge that you have already gained and make a reasoning there. Because the command term is explain. Very often, students misunderstand the command term describe and explain. And I think most of the teachers keep on emphasizing on this, that describe and explain are different. When you have to explain, you have to give a reason, right? And that reason is something that comes from the knowledge you have gained through the syllabus. When you have to describe a particular graph, picking up facts from the graph is very easy. But why is it that way is something that you'll know only when you are trying to connect it to the knowledge that you have gained through the syllabus. This is what it means, implicit concepts. And then when you talk 5 to 7 marks questions, you have command terms like analyze, evaluate, examine, right? To what extent? This has become very popular. To what extent? Right? So we'll be solving one question based on this command term, to what extent. So just make a note that do not always pick up fact and figures from the resource booklet unless you're asked to. Like a 1 mark question, yes, it gives you marks. But for a 4 marks question or a 7 marks question, if you're going to only pick up sentences from the resource booklet and write it down, it's not going to give you marks, right? So that you will have to do based on what command term has been asked. All right. Now, most of the students, if you read the subject report, you will find that most of the students think that the 60 minutes time is enough to complete 35 marks paper. Yeah. What is your experience? What do you have to say to look for? Something that needs to be practiced. So if you start practicing paper one, eventually your speed at which you read the resource booklet will increase, right? If that increases, I'm sure you will not have difficulty in finishing paper one. So you have 5 minutes reading time for this paper. Make sure that you utilize this 5 minutes completely. Okay, during this 5 minutes, you're not allowed to write anything. You can't even mark anything on the resource booklet, right? You only can read it. So there are 2 ways of doing it. You first read the resource booklet, then you read the question booklet, or you first read the question booklet, try and understand the nature of the questions that are there, and then go to the resource booklet. And when you're reading it, maybe then you can get an understanding of what you're going to look at. Either ways, it's good. You will have to devise which technique suits you the best. And that you can do only when you start the practice. Okay. So first 5 minutes, only reading time. After the paper starts, give 5 more minutes to read the resource booklet. And this is the time when you can actually mark things on the resource booklet. All right. So first 5 minutes, you can't write anything on the resource booklet. You can't mark anything. But the next 5 minutes, as soon as the writing time starts, right, make sure that you are still on the resource booklet and you have read the question booklet. So you can start marking the points which are important to answer the question. Ideally, it's not advisable to spend more than 15 minutes on the resource booklet. All right. So if you want that you should get a good hang of it, please, I cannot emphasize enough practicing past papers. So maximum 15 minutes is what you should spend on the reading time. After that, move on to data interpretation and conceptual understanding kind of questions. That comes to a 29 marks. So if the first 10 minutes of your writing time goes in reading time, so first 5 minutes, sorry, then the 45 minutes can be given to data interpretation and conceptual questions. Now, the last question, that is one question we have, is an essay question. Make sure you keep minimum 10 minutes for this 6 marks question. Generally, it comes as 6 marks, sometimes it's asked as 7 marks. Right? So please keep minimum 10 minutes for this question. I'll tell you why this question is important as we go along. Okay. So anything that you want to ask me with regards to time management that's there on the screen right now?
Students, I'll request you to please use this time, clarify your doubts. Please, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can put in the chat box if you're feeling shy, but please.
Okay, so I believe it's everybody is willing to accept this kind of bifurcation of time so that they can complete their paper in time. Like the 6 mark question is very, very important. Okay, so as we are going along, I'll tell you why it is very important. For all those who have joined, they'll be able to click on the link and you'll reach the Google Sheet. For the ones who are viewing here on the share screen, Kalpana ma'am, can you see the screen? Excel sheet?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. We can see.
Okay. I can share the link, in fact, for all those who want to scroll down and see that.
Yes, ma'am, that would be good.
I'll do that. This is the link to the Google Docs. And if you see here, I've just tried to put in the command terms for last 4 years. And just look at the command terms. I've just tried to highlight the ones which are higher order thinking.
Ma'am, this is brilliant. This is brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
Because
excellent work, Joanna ma'am. It actually is giving us as teachers also a lot of insight. Thank you so much.
In subject report also, we don't get this kind of detailed things.
So if you have a look at this, if you see, identify 2 command terms that are very frequently asked. Just look at the command terms and see which 2 command terms are frequently asked. When we have data type of questions, what do? Right? The first thing, so what has happened, I'm sharing screen. So I'm just, there is some animations to this. It's not playing because I don't know. Maybe I'm sharing screen, that is why. Okay, anyway. So the data interpretation questions, the first thing to look for is the axis label on the graph. What is the x-axis representing? What is the y-axis representing? Guys, this will come only with practice. What are the legends? What are the units? What are the years if they are given? What is the title of the graph? Every graph given will have a title. Please read the title of the graph. What is the scale of origin? Whether the scale starts from 0, it starts from 100, 200, what is it? Right? Some points to remember. Axis label graphs. What are the axes? X-axis, Y-axis. What are the legends that are given? What are the units, titles, scale of origin? So as soon as you see a graph, your eyes should search for these details. Okay? If you're looking at a map, look at the pattern that's given. Look at a trend that's given. Right? Whatever information is given to you in the resource booklet, try to immediately connect it to the concepts that you have covered during the course. Because again, I repeat, the concepts you will not find explicitly written. All right? They will always be implicit. So if you don't know the concepts in the syllabus well, then you're going to be in a catch. Another thing is the precision. So you need to use a ruler to precisely read a graph. So sometimes on the graph, there are fluctuations that are there, and you want to make a point about the fluctuation. It was this much first, and now it has come down so much, or it has gone high so much. To do that, sometimes it becomes difficult to read. Please use a ruler. Take the ruler, look at the reading against it on the axis, and then accordingly write the answer. So for the paper, please keep a ruler, pencil, eraser handy with you. When the data is asking you about specific years, yeah, include whether there is an increase or a decrease or it's static. Please use these words. And then also use the map scale, yeah, to measure the certain area or a place on a map. So when you're answering these kind of questions, data interpretation questions, talk about increase, decrease, whether it's static. Talk about the scales of the map, and if that happens, then you get 2 points. So we'll look at a 2 marker also next. Yeah. If there are questions that are asking you to state, describe, identify, you look for the details in the resource booklet itself. But if they are short answer questions, 2 markers, 3 markers, you refer to the specific figure, because some questions will say with reference to figure 1, with reference to figure 3, whatever. Right? So refer to that figure in the resource booklet. At the same time, connect it to the concepts that you have learned in your syllabus. Okay? Again, I repeat, avoid using sentences as it is from the resource booklet. This reduces your chances of getting higher score. Okay? Just 1 minute, I'll just stop sharing. Oh. Okay, there's some issue here because of which I'm unable to. This is not supposed to come this way. Okay. Okay, so when we talk of patterns and trends, yeah, there's a difference between pattern and trend. So ideally the question was to come to you, but okay, the animation somehow is not working. So when you're talking about patterns and trends, right, patterns are over the place and trends are over time. Please remember this. All throughout the resource booklet that we have, there are patterns and there are trends. Okay, so when you're looking at a pattern, you'll talk about the geographical area. And when you're looking at a trend, you will look at a graph which talks about number of years and then whether it's going high or low. So if you're looking at a pattern, you'll find that it is dispersed. You'll find it's concentrated or nucleated, or it's very linear, or it's just no pattern at all. So when you're answering these type of questions, your answer will be based on space. So it will be actually descriptive. Okay. And if you're looking at a trend, You look at what is long term, is it short term, is it seasonal, is it regular, irregular, is there an increase, is there a decrease, right? So you look at your language will be somewhere in temporally descriptive, which means related to time. So we look at examples, we look at the question, and then we try to understand whether the pattern is um, either it's a pattern or a trend. Okay. All right. Uh, it's just 1 minute. I'll try to share. Oh. Okay, so we're looking at a case study from May 2018. Kalpana ma'am, is it possible for you to share it? I'm unable to upload this on the chat.
Madam, which year you want to share?
May 2018.
1 minute.
All right. In the meantime, is there any question or is it something that the students want to share or they want to ask? Something that they have come across and they're finding it very difficult.
Students, please go ahead and ask, even if you have any issues with understanding of a particular
So whatever we have
command term.
covered till now, is there anything that you want to get clarity on?
Madam, they're all perfect IB students. They will not ask any question. So they will go.
We all have gone across the resource booklets. We all have given our mock exams and even the term exams and mock both. Right? So when you look at the resource booklet, what is the first image that's there in the resource booklet? What is the first image? No, we don't know.
And they're putting on the chat.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They're saying map, location, geographic location, yes. Map, location.
Yes. The first two questions, first two figures on the resource booklet will always be maps. Yeah. So this is a pattern, right? It's about space. It's about location. All right. So first two will always, first you will find the world map and next you will find the specific location map that you have. Right. It is very important to look at these maps. And when we are trying to look at the last question, you will see why it is important. Okay. So I'll just stop sharing this. There's an issue with this. Ideally, the answers were to come later.
Can I share the May 2018? I'm ready, man. You want to share?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You want a question paper, resource booklet?
It's a resource booklet. Just share the resource booklet on the chat with them, sir, so that they can access it to and fro.
Okay. Then can I close the screen? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So take say 2 to 3 minutes. Try to skim through these entire resource booklet. I'm sure most of you must have seen this resource booklet before. But today, when you're seeing it, please look at it with a fresh eye. Try to identify certain details. Yeah, as told to you just now, what are the things that you need to look for when you have a resource booklet in your hand? You look at the maps, the areas of the map. You look at the labels on the graph, the legends, titles, all that. So try to look at the resource booklet with a different eye right now. Map, the legends that are given is showing grassland / woodland. If you write only grassland or if you write only woodland, you will not get points for this, right? So it is grassland and woodland both together, right? In absence of both of these together, you will lose the mark. Now, when you look at this question, yeah, is it a pattern or a trend? Are we looking at a pattern or are we looking at a trend?
A pattern.
Yes, it is a pattern. It's over the place, right? So every time you look at a question, you first ask yourself a question whether I'm looking at a pattern or I'm looking at a trend. The moment you start looking at that, you will find that the way you look at the resource booklet will differ, right? Because I know rightly whether I have to look for a pattern or I have to look for a trend. And accordingly, the way you answer also will differ. Because if it's a pattern, it has to be about space. If it's a trend, it has to be about time. Okay. The next question. So I have not picked up all the questions from the paper. I've just picked up a few, otherwise we'll be short of time. As it is, I think we'll get short of time. So yeah, the next question I've picked up is this one. Explain why Madagascar has a high number of endemic species. And if you see, it's for 3 marks. Look at the command term. It's for 3 marks. And it does not ask you to refer to any specific figure. Now, this question has one concept about endemic species, right? What exactly is an endemic species? Anybody?
Oh my God. Children, next month you have final examination. Teachers, I think we have to think again. What is endemic?
Okay, yes, okay. Yes, Ashwa, yes,
So they are
correct. Yes, in the chat, yes, sir. Okay, yes, correct. So they are found in specific, they are limited to specific location, correct? Now the question is saying, explain why there is a high number of endemic species. Where in the case study are we going to find information on this? Look at the resource booklet. Try to skim through it. Where are we going to find information about this? So while studying the syllabus, we all know we have studied that Madagascar has a lot of endemic species. Yeah, but the question is explain why. The case study also says 80% are endemic. Figure 5A, okay? Figure 5A. Is it telling you, is it giving you an information of why? It says Madagascar is the home to diverse range of ecosystems, including tropical rainforests, mangroves, and coral reefs. The island contains 5% of world biodiversity. Yeah, that one, which is on page number 8 of the resource booklet. It's a 3 marks question. We require 3 full complete points. How would you do that? Please put it on the chat. Figure 2. Yes, Kanika, figure 2. Okay. You can type in the chat, guys. What is the information? We need explain, right? And we are saying why. Endemic due to geographical location. All right, it's an island. Excellent. Yes, it's an island. So geographical location, because of which what? It's endemic because there's a geographic, the location is that it's an island. So how does it make those species endemic? Guys, we have a lot of information about the syllabus, right? And it's a very wrong notion that the students have that ESS we can write a lot. It's not about how much you can write, it's about how much relevant you can write, right? So just try to avoid to blabber a lot in your paper. Just don't try to pour all the information that you have. Okay, make sure that you focus on the question. Okay, so this question, yes, we will have to look at figure 1 on the map, which tells us that it's an island, right? So the first figure that's there of the map, the world map, where they have marked it red, it tells us that's an island. And then you go ahead and talk about what are the things that are there. So yes, as figure 5 tells us about how many biomes, how many ecosystems and all are there. So use that information and the information about the genetic diversity, and there's no mixing happening between the genes from the mainland and the island. So geographical isolation, all this is something that is very, very implicit, but you have studied these concepts in class. So when you're looking at a case study, make sure that you're able to bring in those concepts and connect it here. That's the idea. Okay, so I'm just sharing the mark scheme right now here.
Jovi,
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, before we go, can you please explain also how to write this 6-mark question also?
Because yes, so that is there. 6-mark question is also there on the slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll just take 2 more questions and I'll then go to the 6 marks questions.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing my screen. And we see what is the answer to this question. We require 3 points. Also remember, guys, when you all are studying, and most of the time we refer to mark schemes, please remember mark schemes are made for the examiners, right? You'll find mark schemes don't have complete sentences. They're just writing a brief information of what is given to you, what is required in the answer. Because we as examiners are going to look for these understanding and then give you marks. Do not replicate the language of mark scheme in your papers. Do not. All right, some students write 1122 words and leave it there. No, look at the command term. Is it asking describe? Is it asking explain? Is it asking you to evaluate? Just don't randomly put information and just leave at 2 and 3 words. Okay, so here it's saying that the island, yeah, it's an island and it's far from the mainland, because of which genetic information is not exchanged. Limited migration of species, because of which the species now if you say limited migration of species and you just write this term, okay, limited migration of species in your answer and leave it at that, do you think you're going to get 1 mark for that? No, you won't. What about migration of species will result into high number of endemic species, right? So because they can't migrate, that is why the number of species that are there on the island will remain where they are. Correct? Please complete the sentence. Don't write incomplete sentences. Right? Geographical isolation has caused speciation, and because of this, they have evolved because of the conditions on the island. Climate has been stable for a very long time, allowing for speciation of the organisms. Right? Diverse range of biomes. This is exactly what's given in figure 5. And high biodiversity associated with larger island size. Right? This information is again there in the initial part of the fact file that's given. So for these kind of questions, you have to look for the entire resource booklet. You will not find the answer at one specific location. Right? Like for example, if you find this information about endemic species in figure 5 and you're happy, this is what it is. No, please no. Go and refer to other figures also. Are they giving you any information based on this? All right, let's look at the next question. Anybody has a question here? You want me to go slow on this, or I'm going too fast? Please tell me.
No, madam, you want correct.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next question is, I'm just putting on a chat. Describe the trend in the ecological footprint over the period shown in figure 7. Now, if you see, it's a specific figure that they're asking you to look at. And very clearly, they're asking you to identify a trend, which is time-based. So the moment you look at the question, identify whether you're looking at a trend or a pattern. So figure 7, there's a graph. What is the trend visible in the graph? The red color line represents ecological footprint and the green color part represents biocapacity. So it's saying describe. Right? What is a trend? It's only a 1 mark question. I'm sure everybody will get marks on this if they understand how to read this graph. This is the place where I'm saying use a scale. So if you can hold the scale and then look at the y-axis, you'll actually understand how much reduction is there, and accordingly you can make analysis. Yeah, so what is the trend that you're seeing over here? There's a decreasing trend. Excellent. So what we are seeing is there's a decrease in the ecological footprint. Okay. Most of the time, when they are asking for a 1 mark question or based on a graph, it is advisable that you pick up the year in which you are finding this ecological footprint. So you can say that in 1961, what was the ecological footprint? And now it has declined to whatever is the answer in 2012. Try to use these numerals from the graph when you're trying to attempt questions based on graphs. That increases your chances of getting higher grades. Of course, this is only for 1 mark right now, but it's with 2 marks and a 3 marks question, then definitely it will help you get marks on that. Right? So yes. Okay. Now the question is asking you about ecological footprint. Okay. Do not waste your time in writing information about biocapacity. It is very important. Stick to what is asked in the question. The question clearly is about ecological footprint. Do not waste your time in writing about biocapacity. You understand about biocapacity, no problem. Your point is not wrong, but you're wasting your time in writing about biocapacity. Are you getting it? Please read the question at least 2 times before you start writing the answer. And when you read the question, underline the command term and underline the concept that they want you to look for. So the keywords that you want to look for. Okay, very important. The moment you keep on underlining, the chances of you going off track is very less. So underline the command term, underline the keyword for the question. Let's quickly look at another question. Total population of Madagascar has increased during the period shown in figure 7. Am I going to get the answer for this in figure 7? Where are we going to get the answer to this question? Why the ecological footprint for total population of Madagascar has increased during the period shown in figure 7? Excellent. Yeah, look at figure 3B. Look at figure 3B. Population curve for Madagascar. Very good. So see how it's difficult sometimes because they have said figure 7. We tend to look at figure 7 only, right? But it's not necessary to find the answer there. We have to go up and down across the resource booklet and try to find out the answer. So how can we answer this question? The population curve of Madagascar. What can we write to answer this question? Due to increase in population, yes. We are seeing an increase that's happening in the population because of which the ecological footprint has increased. Okay, this is one point. We want, it's a 2 marks question. We'll require one more point. The population has decreased. Arthak, has the population decreased? Okay, increased. Okay, yeah, you typed it again. Yes. The population has increased beyond the carrying capacity. Where have they mentioned about the carrying capacity here? How do we know that it's increased beyond carrying capacity? Okay, with increased resources consumption, such as, okay, 1 minute, going fast. Which increases resource consumption, such electricity, oil, water, hence leading to increase in ecological footprint. Okay, the second reasoning, Iman, okay, yes, valid. The biocapacity has decreased throughout the year. How are we connecting? See, it's asking why, which means we have to give a reason. Right? The biocapacity has decreased through the years. So how is this connected to our question? Why ecological footprint for total population of Madagascar has increased? Okay. Look at the legends. Look at the title of the graph. Look at title of both the graphs. What is the title for figure 7? And what is the title for figure 3B? Look at the titles. Is there any difference in the title? Anybody? Is there any difference in the title? Excellent, Parshva. Figure 7 is saying per person, while figure 3 is talking of population in millions. You look at the y-axis. Right? That is when, I'm saying that when you're reading a graph, make sure that you're reading the title clearly, all the legends clearly, all the axes label clearly, so that you have a very clear understanding. Okay? So that's very important. So on figure 7, it's showing you a per person, while the population thing is in millions. Okay? So that's why it's showing increase. All right. I'll just go quickly to the next part. Otherwise, we will not finish with the 6 marks question. So I had a couple of more questions, but I will skip them. And I will go next. Say question.
Ma'am, can I add one more point before you go?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, good. Students, I would like to add one more important thing in the 6-mark question. Please note your total paper is 35 mark. Out of 35, one question carried a 6.
So that is coming, sir.
Yes.
It's there on the slide next.
Oh, no, because this question actually determines your 5.6 point or 7 point. The mark you are going to take, this one question will tell you, are you going to take a 6, 7, okay, or a 5? That's an important part. Okay.
Correct.
In fact, I always suggest my students, once we enter the examination room for the board examination, first finish the 6-mark question. Then you go for the next one. That will be better. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
That's a good advice, sir. Yes. That first finish 6-marker question. But to finish a 6-marker question, you need to read the resource booklet thoroughly. Yeah. So, yes. So, the question says, it's very easy to score, 6 marks in this essay question. And yes, we have more disagreements. Okay. Yeah, a lot of them disagree. Let's see how we can score maximum in this question. So the essay question is for 6 marks. That makes 17% of total marks. Okay. Out of 35, 6 marks. Okay, it's the calculation, I think, will be an error here. 25% no, out of that. 1 minute. Okay, all right. So 6 marks, kindly ignore this. So the question is for 6 marks. If you look at the mark bands, this is the overall mark band for November 19. Okay, we are not taking the recent because complete exams have not happened. And that is why the overall grade boundaries are still not there. So November 19 is the closest that we have. And you see here, right, look at the mark bands. This 6 marks can definitely help you jump from one grade level to the next. From one grade level to the next. Right, in paper 1, I'll quickly take you to the initial slide that was there. In paper 1, this mark band here. You look at this mark band. In November 19, 23 to 26 was a 6. Attempting this full 6 marks question and getting complete points would immediately take a person from 5 to 7. There's a difference of only 4 points here. Right? Getting full 6 marks will take a person right from 5 to 7. So it's very important to focus on the 6 marks question. All right, let's.
Ma'am, it is 17%.
It is 17%. Oh, I thought I made some error. I mean, with 17%, then we are looking at a huge jump. Look at 17% here. Right? 2 points straight away. Grade level 2. Yeah, 13 to 25 out of 100 is grade level 2. So we are looking at a very high jump, yeah, with this 6 marks. So please take this 6-mark question seriously. All right. How to do that? First, make a plan to answer this question. Don't abruptly start writing this right away. Yeah, think very clearly what you're going to do. After you make an outline, think about how you're going to place them in an order. Let there be a flow, a sequence. Okay. And then think about the possible conclusion that you want to give. Like, for example, how will a good structure for a 6-mark question look like? You first introduce the problem and keep the problem nice and short. Okay. Identify what is the problem that's there in that question. Then you go on to give further bifurcations. What are the alternatives to this problem? Okay. That is where you will raise an argument for and against. The 6-marker question will always have an argument for and against because of the command term that is there. Okay, that is why it's important to know a command term. And the last part is to have a balanced conclusion, right? Only writing conclusion and not writing an argument will not help. Okay, so how are the marks divided? Okay, you look at this question. The question from this paper was, to what extent could development away from traditional lifestyle lead to greater sustainability in Madagascar? Okay, what is the problem that they are talking about in this question? First of all, it is to what extent, right? Discuss. All these kind of questions, you will have to present an argument. If you're presenting only argument only for, so development away from traditional lifestyle would lead to greater sustainability. If you're saying that, yes, this is what will attain greater sustainability. Even if you write 10 points, you will get only 4 marks for that. Maximum you can get is 4. If you write 10 points against that no, development away from traditional lifestyle would not lead to greater sustainability, and you write 10 points, even then maximum you can get is 4 marks. If you have made a balanced argument, you have given good points for, you have given good points against, right? You will still get only 5 marks. And you will write 2 big pages of arguments for, one for against, and then you will say, I should get full 6 marks for this, and you will not get. Why? What is missing? Conclusion. So 1 mark is always allocated for writing conclusion. And that's a very easy mark. Once you understand for and against, writing conclusion is very easy. Okay. Now again, I'm taking you back to the objectives of this of the subject. Student arrive at informed but personal viewpoints. This question is asking you to put up your personal viewpoint when it's asking to what extent. Right? It's saying you should be able to justify your own position and appreciate the views of the others. You cannot do that without writing an argument. So when you're writing an argument for and against, either side will be your personal viewpoint. But when you're appreciating the viewpoint of the others, you will write the opposite side. And when you can successfully do that, the objective of IB is achieved. So the last question, if you see, is completely based on this statement, this objective of IB. All right. So how do you go about with this? You ideally first have to identify the problem. So what is the problem that you see with this question? I'll try to wind it up quickly. What is the problem that you see in this question? The student can use the student response section. You want to see the question? To what extent could development away from traditional lifestyle lead to greater sustainability in Madagascar? Look at the resource booklet. Now for this, you have to look at entire resource booklet. Take 2 minutes to have a glance through the entire resource booklet. What is the problem that you are seeing with regards to sustainability away from traditional lifestyle lead to greater sustainability in Madagascar? Look at fact file 2. That's figure 2. Okay. Traditional farming. What is happening? The forests are being cleared for traditional farming. Most of the population relies on traditional subsistence farming. Can discuss about the effects. Yes, but for that you have to identify the problem first, correct? So the first problem you got to understand is that there is deforestation happening, and because of which soil erosion is happening. So you identified the problem. Now the next part is, what is the alternative that is there for this problem? Right? We identified deforestation and we are saying soil erosion is connected to that. Now, what are the alternatives that are there? See, because if you don't find out the alternatives, how do we argue which is better against which? Right? So we need to make an argument. For that, you have to find out what is an alternative. So some alternatives are given in the case study itself. See if you can identify that. Okay, there's somebody who's written here something. Okay, Kanika has written agroforestry. Is agroforestry a problem, Kanika? Or an
No.
alternative?
Alternative.
Okay, yes, it's an alternative. So yes, one is agroforestry as an alternative. What else is an alternative? Figure 9A, page number 14. What is there in figure 9A? Ecotourism, yes. Right, we want sustainability, right? So we can talk about sustainability and ecotourism here. But right now we can focus on agroforestry because we have a lot to talk about agroforestry. Okay. Now when you start writing again for an as an alternative method, you will talk for and against both. Okay. So you will talk about how agroforestry could develop develop away from traditional lifestyle. So how agroforestry can lead to greater sustainability. At the same time, how agroforestry may not lead to a greater sustainability. You need to make arguments from both the sides. Make 3 arguments for and 3 arguments against. All right, which will help you get those 5 marks. And then we talk about conclusion. Okay, so what are the points that you can consider for? Okay, before we go, there's something more. Quickly, some points to remember. Pay attention to the command terms. Make sure that you know the command terms thoroughly. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. Pay attention to the number of marks available. If it's a 2 marks question, you need to have 2 valid points for 2 marks. You can't write only 1 point and expect to get 2 marks for that. While answering short answer questions, do not repeat the question. Most of you have a habit of writing what's there in the question and say because. Don't do that. It's waste of time. So maximize your thinking time by not repeating that question. Underline the command terms and keywords in the question to stay focused. Make sure you understand the question completely. Okay. And while answering, if it's a data interpretation type of a question, make sure you're referring to correct units with correct time, correct region. So have a look at those things. Use appropriate terminology where required. Using appropriate terminology will save your time. You don't have to write long sentences. Using terminology will just help you write nice and precise. Make connections while reading the resource booklet. Do not go off tangent, right? Try to stick to the question only. Questions that are based on these topics: ozone depletion, enhanced greenhouse effect, climate change, global warming. Students tend to mix up everything. Please make sure that you clearly understand the difference between each of them and how one leads to the other. Okay? Like ozone depletion and greenhouse effect, these are 2 different things altogether. Students will all mix it up. So please make sure that you have a complete and a clear understanding of what each of these mean. All right. Now, just quickly,